Hey, everybody, it is your man, Darrell Owens, and I'm here to bring you another episode of One on One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. We had a interesting week 4 in the NFL. We saw some teams that surprised. We got a team that I don't think has ever been in the outside looking in the outside looking in and trying to creep up there to that top 10, but we'll see. And we got some teams that drop back into the bottom and some teams that made their way. They pretty much stayed at the bottom. But we got the top 10 looks like it's kind of solidified a little bit early. But with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into this. We got episode 109 of One on One coming to you a little bit early today because I have to head up to Commanders and Bears for Thursday Night Football tonight. So this one, obviously, seeing you coming at noon today. I hope you enjoy the earlier part of this broadcast, but we're ready to rock this thing out. Let's go ahead and get it one on one here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network and Bowie Television.
One, 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 one. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to one-on-one at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 109 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Also, we're airing today on Bowie Television. And so once again, we'd like to thank our Bowie Television listeners as they come on in to enjoy the show today. We got a lot to get into, of course. The quarter mark or almost quarter mark of the season is pretty much there. And we're excited to be able to bring you another episode of One on One. It has been a good season so far. I wouldn't say a ton of parity, but it's a nice little range between your 1-3 teams and then your 3-1 teams. There's only 10 3-1 teams, 12 2-2 teams, and there are 10 teams that are either 1-3 or 0-4. So we have all of that kind of lingering in the mist, and so like I said, I'm just excited to be able to break all that stuff down with you today. Kind of get into that with you on episode 109. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get into the bottom. We're gonna go ahead and rock this thing out at the bottom, and hopefully your team is not there. And if your team is there, I apologize. I really do apologize. But let's start off with the bottom. All right, so we head to the bottom. I'm sorry, some technical difficulties with the thing. But anyway, we start at the bottom. So starting fresh at the bottom, or they were at the bottom last week, and they will continue to reign supreme at the bottom this week, and that is the Chicago Bears. Chicago, we thought Chicago was going to get their first victory against the team that you see ranked 29th in the power rankings this week, the Denver Broncos. They were in the mix. They had a 28-14 lead. They had everything they wanted in the palm of their hands to get that first win, to get a little bit of that pressure off their back. And the people were calling this the toilet bowl because of how bad these two teams have played. And these, after this game, we know that the Bears right now currently have the 1 and the 2 pick of the NFL draft. If everything was solidified today, the Panthers technically have the 2 pick, but with that trade last year that they made so they could get Bryce Young to move up to number 1 to the Bears to get Bryce Young. So the Panthers pick right now is going to Chicago, and it's looking pretty for Chicago. But what's not looking pretty is how this game ended up. Justin Fields had a really good day. 335 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. Khalil Herbert had 18 carries and 103 yards. DJ Moore had 8 receptions for 131 yards and a touchdown. You said this is the type of game that kind of maybe get this Bears team going. And they were there. But the Broncos fought back, and they were able to get the win in this one, 31-28. So the Bears right now sitting at the bottom here on 101, the 101 power rankings, and it's unfortunate for Bears fans. And I know you're probably saying, "Well, come on, we know who you like, Darrell, or who your team that you have an affection for," as we like to say here. And like I said, I really do feel bad for him because I like Justin Fields, and it is what it is. But the Bears are number 32. At number 31, the Carolina Panthers, 0-4 on the season. Really, really rough start for the Carolina Panthers and to start the season. They played really well last week against Seattle. And I thought, maybe this team come in with, some heart, and they did against Minnesota. But Minnesota was able to get the win in Carolina 21-31. Minnesota, who's 23rd on the power rankings, getting their first win of the season. And I can see that that's a team that I can see, eventually moving up in the power rankings, but in the bottom for now. So the Panthers are at 31. And, the Bryce Young experience so far, not the way a lot of people would like it. I will say this, and I'm one of those people that advocate for this. It's only 4 games in. And some of these quarterbacks, it takes time to learn the game, to be where you need to be special. And the problem is people rush it. Like there's so many people that jump out to the gate and they do so well so early that, even if you're getting started, people expect you to go off right off the bat. And that's just not the case. And so right now, Bryce Young still, feeling things out. I know it had to be a little tough for Panthers fans, especially you saw the way Andy Dalton played last week. So, but I said, give Bryce Young some time. I still personally think the Panthers should have went with CJ Stroud, and the way that the Texans are playing right now, and as you can see, they're not at the bottom. It would have been, I think, still the better move. But hey, I'm no expert. Next, we got number 30, the Giants. Monday night was a disaster. And they just look ugly. Daniel Jones, 203 yards, 2 picks. It just looked bad. And the Giants look like a bad football team. And they look like a team that will be picking top 5 if they haven't traded that pick or whatnot. They look like a team that's going to be picking in the top 5 easily. It's going to be really rough for the Giants right now. Can they figure it out? I don't know. They're at 30 for me. But the Daniel Jones experiment was a bad move to keep that thing going. I think the Giants had a chance to capitalize and maybe get somebody that could really help that team. And they decided to keep Daniel Jones. And I think it's going to come back to bite them. And like I said, in our preview show on Legacy on Fire, the Giants will take a giant step back. Giants are at 30. At number 29, the Broncos. We talked about how the Broncos got their first win. Congratulations to Russell Wilson and Sean Payton getting their first win together as a tandem. But they need more, and they've got to figure things out a little bit more in Denver. I feel like if Russ want to keep his spot there, and of course, if Sean, if you don't give Sean Payton any reason to try to keep you there, but that's something that we'll deal with in the offseason. Broncos at 29. At 28, the Cincinnati Bengals. It keeps getting worse and worse. The Bengals really do need to shut Joe Burrow down until he's healthy. You spent a lot of money on that man. And there's something about the team right now that just doesn't feel right. And you don't have a healthy Joe Burrow to kind of get you where you need to be. Just step away. It's okay to make sure he gets healthy. If you have one down year while he's getting healthy, by all means, but let him get healthy. But they've got to figure some things out because each week I think, okay, they're going to get a little bit better. They're going to be ready. They're going to be there. And it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So the Bengals are at 28. And to be honest with you, it's well-deserved. Next, at 27, the Las Vegas Raiders. This is another team that I don't know what's going on. They're already calling for Josh McDaniels' head. That was happening last year. The Raiders are terrible. And the fact that they actually hung in the game with the Chargers kind of blows my mind because I didn't see that coming. I thought the Chargers would whoop up on them, but as my man Lamont Thomas always says, and I know I've said it multiple times in the last couple of weeks, the Chargers will charge. We just never know what we'll get from them as well. But the Raiders, 1-3, they're at 27. At 26, the New York Jets. The Jets could be, a little bit higher on this bottom. If they could have pulled off that Chiefs victory, I probably would have put them in the outside looking in. But they gave it their all, man, and they just couldn't pull it off in the end. And that Zach Wilson fumble, it hurt, but Zach Wilson really did play a really good game. I got to give the man credit and the energy in MetLife was absolutely amazing. I mean, the energy was top notch out there in MetLife. So it's a tough one. They got a tough one this week, but I think it's a winnable one. We'll see how it goes. I got the Jets at 26. At 25, the Patriots. Oh, this was a disappointment. The Patriots got demolished by the Cowboys 38-3. And I thought, Zeke's coming back. They're going to feed him. It was is it num, all that good stuff. And it just didn't happen. And the Cowboys just went off. Ferguson, the tight end, had 7 receptions for 77 yards. Tony Pollard had 11 carries for 47 yards. Dak, maybe not the sexiest day, but it wasn't bad. 1 touchdown, 261 yards. That defense did a lot of the work for that Cowboys team, and that's why a lot of people think the Cowboys can really do some dangerous things this year. But like I said, it's still early. But the Patriots took a rough one there at number 25. At 24, the Arizona Cardinals. It was a bad week for the Cardinals against the best team in the NFL in most people's eyes, maybe in my eyes as well. But the best team in the NFL, the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey is just awesome. 20 carries, 106 yards, 3 touchdowns. Purdy's not making any mistakes. Ayuk's playing well. Not hearing that much from Debo. But with all that being said, the Cardinals have played good football. And they even went into that fourth quarter only being down by 5. They was 21-16, but the 49ers were able to, be who they are and win that game. I know I said it last week, but the Cardinals are playing really good football, y'all. I mean, really playing good football, and they definitely deserve all the kudos they possibly can get. They could easily be 3-1 right now. Easily be 3-1 in my opinion. I mean, they could have beat the Commanders. They definitely had a chance to beat the Giants. Should have beat the Giants. At the least, they should be 2-2. But hey, they're at 24 on this power ranking. At 23, we talked about the Vikings. They got their first win against Carolina. Kirk Cousins finally gets into the win column for the season, especially with the season he's having. So we're going to, give the Vikings their kudos. They're at 23. At 22, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this was a disappointing one. You're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, got to be disappointed because you saw a Texans team at home in the beautiful red helmets. Those candy apple red helmets are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And CJ Stroud is the man. I'm not going to go too deep in because I'm going to wait till we talk about the Texans in that next level, but I love what I've seen from them. Bad day for the Steelers. They lose Kenny Pickett. Still trying to figure out their quarterback situation. Looks like it's going to be Mitch Trubisky for a couple weeks. It was bad because the Steelers have been playing pretty, decent. But that Texans team might be for real. D'Amico Ryans, man, wow. I know in the offseason, I know when I need to apologize. I remember I told him, I said, don't take the job, D'Amico. Don't do it, brother. He proved me wrong, and I'm man enough to say it. So, touche. So far, so good. I know it's 4 games in, but so far, so good. We got the Steelers at 22. At 21, the Saints. The Saints didn't go too much marching on last week. The Buccaneers, 3-1 under Baker Mayfield. The Saints just didn't look good. And, Derek Carr still kind of nicked up. Kamara came back. He had a pretty decent day. So that was something that you wanted to see if you're a Saints fan, to see Kamara get back in his groove. But they've got some work they need to do. But the Buccaneers absolutely look good against, this team. I mean, it was going into the fourth quarter. I was 14-6. Bucks, it was a tight game, and then Buccaneers opened it up to win 26-9. So there it is, the bottom, the Bears, the Panthers, the Giants, the Broncos, the Bengals, Raiders, Jets, Patriots, Cardinals, Vikings, Steelers, and the New Orleans Saints. So that's where we are right now, heading into the outside looking in. Now, this one had a couple of moves in the outside looking in. So let's see what they look like. Let's go to the outside looking in. All right, outside looking in. And there it is. At number 20, the Green Bay Packers. Whew. There's a lot I can say about this. I'm not going to go too deep into it because if you really want to go deep into it, you can go to Green and Go over everything here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And you can check out how I felt about the Green Bay Packers performance on last Thursday, along with my guy Deshaun Rucker from the Ruck Report, Don't Shoot the Messenger, and then my guy, my partner in crime on the Green and Gold over everything, Mr. Randall Burns. So we're all talking about that. If you want to go back and take a peek at that, but I'm not gonna go too deep into it. They look like trash. The Packers are at 20. At 19, the Atlanta Falcons. They went over to England, and the bridge was falling down. It was not. It just wasn't good. The Jaguars came out there. You can definitely tell that London is the Jaguars' second home for sure. A lot of love. They just play. They usually play well over there, and it was a good day defensively. They had a pick six. Ritter just couldn't get things going. Bijan Robinson had 14 carries for 105 yards. Smith had 6 receptions for 95 yards. But for Atlanta, but Atlanta just couldn't get anything going. And the Jaguars went in there, did their thing. They got the dub. Now they got Buffalo this week in England. Should be a really good matchup. This is a tricky one though, because the Jaguars are a team that could beat Buffalo. Not even as hot as Buffalo is, it's just they could beat them. And as you see, the Jaguars are number 11 on our power rankings this week, so they're sitting there, they're knocking on the door to get back into that top 10. But for now, they're at 11, and they beat the Falcons, who dropped to 19 on our power rankings. At 18, the Cleveland Browns. There's not much to say about this. The Ravens just went in there and took care of business. They did what they had to do. They went in there. They took care of business. It was, in and out pretty much. And the Browns with no Deshaun Watson, and it showed, and they lose 28-3. And the Ravens went in there and did their thing. So much love to the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, decent day. Wasn't sexy, numbers-wise with 186 yards passing, but he did have 2 touchdowns. And then we saw Mark Andrews be Mark Andrews, 5 receptions for 80 yards and 2 TDs. And, we know that connection between Jackson and Andrews is special. And they did that without Odell Beckham, not playing. I believe Bateman was the other receiver that didn't play. So, and I could be wrong on the Bateman part. I know Odell didn't play. But the Ravens get the dub. The Browns drop on this countdown, on this power ranking this week to 18. At 17, the Colts. The Colts played hard against the team, the LA Rams, who are 13 on the power rankings this week. They played hard. It was a great game. LA was up 23-0. And the Colts battled back to tie the game to send it into overtime. And then the Rams won it in overtime. Matt Stafford, 319 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Kyron Williams, who has been I got to give McVay credit. He's found 2 really nice pieces. With Cooper Kupp being out, Puka Nacua has been doing his thing, got his first touchdown, 9 receptions, 163 yards for Puka Nacua, and a touchdown. Rams, they're not a team that's going to, take over per se, or a team that you're feel threatened by this season, but they've played really good football and played competitive football. Kyron Williams with his 25 carries, 103 yards and 2 touchdowns, absolutely great. The Rams are playing well. They're 2-2, but they played well against San Francisco a couple weeks ago, only lost 30-23. I'm not holding my breath. The Rams are tough. They're a really tough team. So we'll see how the Rams do. They're 13. Colts are at 17. And so next we move to 16, and that's the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are another team that played really well. Being at the game up in Philly, went up there on Sunday. It was good to be back at the Link. The only bad thing about being there is the fans, just no matter what, always got something to say about what I wear. I had on my Amelia Raider baseball cap with the, Amelia Raiders like logo. It was more like the Atlanta Braves logo. And all the Philly fans saw was the logo. The fact that the hat is green didn't make a difference. Didn't make a difference whatsoever. They let me have it. Wow, you got that Atlanta Braves hat on. I'm like, no, it's Amelia Raiders, but thank you. I appreciate it. Anyway, to the game. The Commanders came out cooking. They had a 17-7 lead right before the half. Then the Eagles kick a field goal, but they still went into the half up by a touchdown. Then the third quarter happened, and they kind of stalled. The Eagles scored 11 points in the third quarter to give themselves a lead. The Commanders had to battle back to tie the game up. A Sam Howell to Jahan Dotson touchdown right at the end of regulation to send it into overtime. A lot of people complained that the Commanders should have went for 2. I think they did the right thing for not going for two. They still had a chance in overtime. They got the ball first, just couldn't capitalize and get the win. But a great game for the Commanders. The Eagles did their thing. They had to battle back, but in the end, we saw a Commanders team that can compete really well with some, with a top team in the league. Hurts had a good day, 2 touchdowns, 319 yards. Swift had 14 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown. AJ Brown, who I got a really good picture of after he scored a touchdown because he ran straight to me, right to the camera. 9 receptions, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So the Eagles are one of 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. All right, to 15, we've got the Tennessee Titans. The Titans, to me, and I've said this multiple times, the Titans are one of the hardest teams to judge, to figure out. Like, I definitely picked against them this week. I thought, the Bengals are back on track to get a win. No, I mean, Derrick Henry and the crew just went in there, did what they needed to do. Derrick Henry had a throwback game, 22 carries, 122 yards, touchdown, looked great. Tannehill didn't play too miserable. And the Titans got the win, 27-3. Wasn't close. I'm baffled by the Bengals right now, but the Titans baffle me equally more because I really never know what I'm gonna get from them from each to week. At 14, you see it there, the Houston Texans. You know what? I want to say this about Houston. I said a little bit earlier about C.J. Stroud or about D'Amico Ryan, making the move to become the head coach there. Kudos to D'Amico for being able to get the best out of this young team. You got a stud, looks like a stud young quarterback in C.J. Stroud, 306 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Dameon Pierce, who you drafted last year, 24 carries, 81 yards, handling things on the ground. Nico Collins, who was a draft pick a couple years ago, 7 receptions for 168 yards and a touchdown. Just amazing. Looks great. Tank Dell didn't have the best game, but he's been great the last couple of weeks. Kudos to the Texans. You're at 14 on the power rankings, highest I believe they've ever been on our power rankings. Number 13, we talked about the Rams. They're at 13. At 12, the Chargers. Chargers got their win on Sunday, and they did what they needed to do against a Raiders team that I felt like they had a chance to really open it up, but they kind of held off. They held back a little bit. So even with that being said, the Chargers are at 12, but they're knocking on the door, trying to get back into that top 10. At 11, the Jacksonville Jaguars. We talked about the weekend that they had in London. They're staying there to play Buffalo this week. They're the closest team to the top 10. To get into this top 10 and bring you the heat for that, I hope you're ready. Top 10, let's do it. All right, so top 10 this week. Here it is, starting off with the surprising team in the top 10, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're 3-1 on the season. Tampa Bay's played good football. They could be 4-0, and it wouldn't surprise me. They ran into a really tough Eagles team last week. We know they're not on their level just yet, but they've played really good football. And they've won all the other games in pretty decent fashion. And they did lose Mike Evans in that contest, but Chris Godwin came in, did his thing, 8 receptions for 114 yards. White, the running back, had 15 carries for 56 yards. Baker Mayfield, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. And so the Buccaneers are a team that I'm kind of reserved about, and we'll see how they continue to do, but they look good so far. They're at 10 on our power rankings. At number 9, the Detroit Lions. They deserve everything they get in this top 10. Like I said, I'm not going to go too deep in this because, I talked about it on Green and Gold over everything, but this Lions team is tough. They were my pick to win the division, and David Montgomery went off. 32 carries, 121 yards, 3 touchdowns, but that's what running backs do against Green Bay, and mobile quarterbacks too. That's what they do against Green Bay. And things started out great for Green Bay because you saw Rudy Ford get the pick, and you're thinking, if as a Packer enthusiast, you say, wow, wait a minute. This is a great way to start the game. They only got 3 points out of it, and from that point on, the Lions decimated them, and they win the game 34-20. The Lions are at 9. At 8, the Seattle Seahawks, a team that has played really well so far this season. They got a nice victory over the Giants on Monday night, 24-3. It was never really close. And then, Devin Witherspoon had a 97-yard pick six, which, just opened up the Seahawks lead, and it was just never anything from there. The Giants are trash, and that's the nicest thing I can say. I'm sorry for my Giants fans. It looks bad, and I think they would agree with me. But the Seahawks are looking pretty good so far, and Geno is showing that he has been no fluke. There are 3-1 and number 8 on our power ranking. At number 7, the Dallas Cowboys. Great win over the Patriots, 38-3. We talked a lot about them earlier in there, how they just showed off defensively, and they continue to get better each week defensively. Even without Trayvon Diggs, they're doing their thing in Dallas. This team has a Super Bowl caliber defense, but can they put it all together offensively to make a true run? We'll see. The Cowboys are at 7. At 6, the Ravens. The Ravens get their nice win against the Browns. I don't know if this game goes the same way if Deshaun Watson is there. We'll have to wait a couple of weeks from now or a couple, or later in the season before we find that out, I guess, for sure. But the Ravens look good. They're 3-1. They lost a tough one to the Colts. They could easily be a 4-0 team if they could have pulled that one out. But the Ravens are at 6. At 5, the Miami Dolphins. Whew. Miami got demolished, man. It was rough. It was bad. It was bad. And we saw Josh Allen go off. 5 total touchdowns, 320 yards. And what a day. Diggs had 6 receptions for 120 and 3 touchdowns. Thank you, Josh Allen. Thank you, Stephon Diggs, for helping me win my fantasy game this week, because you guys put up, I think I got like 100 points from them total. So thank you. I'm glad I picked them last week. A lot of people were riding high on the Dolphins, but I knew they were in Buffalo, and Miami just haven't been able to pull a gun in Buffalo. So they just haven't been able to make it happen. So the Bills win that one 48-20. The Bills, as you can see now, in the top 3 on our power rankings. They're sitting there trying to knock on that door, trying to get into that top 2. They're sitting at number 3. The Dolphins are at number 5. At number 4, the Kansas City Chiefs. The champs are just kind of lingering around. They're not playing amazing football, but they're winning the games. They are doing what they need to do. They lost to the Lions early in the season, but they're on a 3-game winning streak right now. They're still doing their thing. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. They look good. I have nothing bad to say about the Kansas City Chiefs. Other than, Taylor Swift, got to go and throw it out there. Why not? Got to throw it in there. The Swifties and all that good stuff. The Chiefs are it's not pretty, but they're finding ways to win. So the champs are the champs. They're at 4. Of course, the Bills are at 3. At 2, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts and the crew, one of the hanging on as one of the undefeated teams. They're at number 2 right now. That's the highest they've been on the countdown this year, and they're just waiting for San Francisco to make a mistake, unless they decide to be undefeated when the 2 play each other later on this year. So that'll be fun to see as well. And at number 1, the San Francisco 49ers, and well-deserved, a 35-16 victory over the Cardinals. And right now, Christian McCaffrey is an absolute monster. So congratulations to the 49ers for another week. This is the 3rd week that they have had the top spot in our power rankings, and it's well-deserved. It's definitely well-deserved. All right, so now we are about to head to our final segment and get you all ready for the finale here on One-on-One. And I know you guys are ready for it. I'm excited about it. Let's go ahead and crank it up. Let's get into the finale. All right, so it's time for the finale. Let's go ahead and get into it. First, in the finale, we're going to talk about the player of the week, the players of the week, and that would be Josh Allen and Mr. Khalil Mack. I felt like it was a really good run for Josh Allen. He played absolutely phenomenal. He went 21 for 25, 320 yards, 5 total touchdowns, one of them being rushing, the other 4 in the air, and a 48-20 victory over Miami, a team that just beat the Broncos 70-20 the week before. And then on the defensive side, Khalil Mack, 10 tackles, 6 sacks. He was 1 away from tying the NFL record. He had 6 sacks and is now tied with TJ Watt as a sack leader on this season. He had 6 sacks in 1 game. Poor Aiden O'Connell for the for the Raiders. So we're a rough week, but they got the 24-17 victory. Now, if you noticed, last week we had a Bill and a Charger in as the players of the week, but it was reversed. We had Herbert as the offensive player, and then we had Terrell Barnett as the defensive player. So kudos to the Chargers and the Bills in back-to-back weeks. All right, next we'll swing to our MVP. And in the MVP voting this year, or so far heading into week 5, I got Christian McCaffrey as number 1. McCaffrey's had a really good season. Just he's playing lights out right now, and he is carrying that 49ers team offensively. I mean, other guys are doing great things, but if they take Christian McCaffrey out of that lineup, they'll be good, but they know they won't be as good as they are right now. They're good, but they will still be solid. But Christian McCaffrey has been the all in all over there. What a great trade. What a great trade by the 49ers. At number 2, Josh Allen. First time in the top 5 this year, but he deserved it. I mean, he leaped about 3 or 4 guys to get into this spot, but he's played really well over the last 3 weeks. Great game against the Raiders. Great game against the Commanders. Great game against the Dolphins. The Bills are the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight games by 28 points or more. League's been around 100 years. No other team has done it but the Buffalo Bills this season. Tua is at 3 and still going to give Tua his love. I mean, he's played really well so far this season. He will be at number 3. TJ Watt leading in sacks, tied with Khalil Mack. He's at number 4. And Kirk Cousins still having a great year statistically. Even though they got their first win this week and they are on the losing side, I still like the way Kirk has played this season. Now, as we head over to this week and trying to, see how things are, there's my record last week, 42-22. That's right. Currently 3rd place in the Legacy Maker Pick'em League right now. So I'm behind Joey and Christina. I think Russ is tied with me. So we're in the mix. Justice is right behind me. So I'm trying. After 8 week last week, I go 13-3 this week. Very excited heading into another week. Now, of course, tonight I'm heading up to the game. As soon as I finish this broadcast, I'm heading my way up to FedEx because we've got the Commanders versus the Bears Thursday Night Football on Prime TV. No, yeah, well, not Prime TV. Yeah, I mean, whatever. On Prime. It's on Prime. But I got the Commanders winning this one tonight, 28-17. But the Commanders must be aware because Justin Fields looked last week. He got his groove back a little bit. And it was against the Broncos, but it did look like he had his confidence taken a big hit in the positive direction last week. I do have the Commanders winning 28-17. And then lastly, we'll head to the rest of the picks for the week. As my man James Brown, the winning picks for the week. We got the Commanders, the Bills, the Colts, the Saints, Ravens, Texans, Lions, Dolphins, Cardinals, Eagles, Jets, Chiefs, Packers, and 49ers. Those are my picks for the winners this week. We'll see how they go. The Jets one might be a little wild, but I'm basing it off of hopefully they can continue the momentum. But every time I pick the Jets, they do me dirty. Every single time. All right, so that is it. That is it, ladies and gentlemen, for another great episode of 101 here on the Legacy Makers Sports Network and Bowie Television. Truly appreciate everybody who's tuned in to watch the show. And like I said, I know I came a little early today, but I had to because I got to head to D.C. here in a few minutes, or Maryland in a few minutes, to go and get ready for Commanders and Bears for Thursday Night Football. So make sure you check out that coverage here on Bowie Television with my girl Seawall, a.k.a. Candy Waller, or vice versa. So it should be a fun one tonight, and we'll see if the Commanders can get the dub, move to 3-2, stay over 500, or can the Bears get their first win? It's going to be interesting to see. It really is. But anyway, once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. It has been a blessing to be with you again for another episode of 101. We will see you all next time. We'll be back next week for episode 110. That'll be probably another episode that comes a smidge early. If not, it'll be at our regular 6 o'clock time. I have a high school game that night that I have to do. So once again, like I always say, go enjoy football in some form or the fashion. And thank you all for tuning in to 101. We'll see you all next week.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
One. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If any